Kurt is going to come in and show you the products that we talked about. On the BI Analytics side, you'll take a look at the Excel add-in and seeing what pieces are there on how to do that. We'll be showing you InstantdbSync to do the real-time data replication, and then KPiSync also to be part of that mobile device. Kurt?
Thank you very much, Paul. Here, let me kick us over to my machine where I have all this set up. And we're going to go ahead and minimize a couple things here. First thing I want to touch base on is the new look and feel that we've put together in regards to our GUI interface and installing the software, as well as the data dictionary manager that we utilize throughout our tool. As you can see, the CDD manager, it does have a more modern look for those existing customers out there. You can definitely see it does look a bit different, looks more modern. Our GUI interface goes along with that as well. Right out of the gate, what I'm going to do is go right into InstantdbSync, and we're going to talk about our real-time replication tool. Now, what this tool does is it will replicate SQL Server data to any relational database out there. I've set this up to replicate SQL Server 2012 to a SQL Server 2014 system. To set everything up within this tool, it's a very simple process. We would simply configure servers. You connect to a CDD that you've created that will have a source database in it and a destination database in it. Now, the destination database does not need to have tables. We can create those for you, or if there's existing tables in that database, you can bring those into the CDD as well. We'll name the replication server, and as you can see, we're going to be running this on my machine, and then the source database name that you're going to be selecting. Once you get into this, it'll give you a list of the active tables that are available within the source database, and in doing so, then you can select them to make them active and deploy them. Now, within each of these tables, you have the ability to go into the map column section. Now, I've already synchronized this, and I've already run through tests, so we already have all of our target columns all set up. You have the ability, if you want to drop the target or prior to creating the replications, where you can add additional columns or you can remove existing columns from the source so that the destination will reflect a true shape and feel that you want. Once we're done with all this, we simply select the deploy option, and that will deploy these replications. Now, these replications have already been deployed, and once they are deployed, you'll have a GUI here on the Deployed Replications tab that'll show you what has been deployed within the environment. Along with that, we have a server status that gives you information about your deployed replications and the servers that are involved, the event producer, the controller, and the event consumer, and how these are operating. So if there's any problems, you'll see that within this GUI interface here. Outside of that, it's a replication tool. It doesn't have a lot of things going on in it when you're operating it. What we're going to do is we're going to go behind the scenes and show you how this tool does replicate, and we're going to change some data in our source, and we'll show you the changes as they are moved through to the target. Now, right now, well, that's my SQL Server 2014 machine. We're going to go over to, where is my SQL 20? Oh. Sorry. Here's my SQL Server 2012 machine. This is my source machine. And as you can see, we have our customer state is set up as TT for our top 6 records. And here's our destination. And let's go ahead and execute this query. All right, hold on one second. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Excuse me. Let's go into here. Hold on one second. That's interesting. All right, hold on. Why is that not coming through? All right, we'll have to figure this one out. Let's go back here and we'll change our data to PPs here. And then we'll go back into here and we'll see our data here. And as you can see, our SQL Server 2012 database now has PPs for the customer state. We'll go back over to here, and this is actually going to be the same, so now we're matched up. I'll have to correct this when I run this. And we'll go into here, we're going to edit, and we'll change the states from PP to, we'll go LL. And then we'll go ahead and replace all of those. So that replaces all of these. And we'll go ahead and execute this query. And there's 6 rows affected. So we'll go back and take a look at our data. And as you can see, our states are now LL. Now let's go over to our SQL Server 2014. And as you can see, our customer states are LL. So it shows how quickly the data is actually replicated. It's going to replicate as quick as the system will allow. Once a write is done to the source, it will be written to the destination. Now in doing this, I also want to come into Excel, and I want to show you how we can view this data through Excel as well. And as Paul was saying, we do have a 2-click system where we can actually access the data. We're going to go in here, we're going to use an existing connection that I've already created, and this is for the customer SQL Server, and in comes the data. Now this is pulling the data in from the SQL Server 2014 database, which is our target in our InstantdbSync tool. And as you can see, our customer state is LL. We're going to go back into our SQL Server 2012, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to change that data once again, and we'll change this from LL to, whoops, and we'll change that to QQ. And we'll go ahead and run this, and we got 6 rows affected, and we'll see the SQL Server 2012. Why does it do that? Oh, it didn't change that. Find, replace. Oh, hold on a second. I didn't replace them. Excuse me. There we go. Now let's go ahead and run our query. And let's go back and take a look at our data. And there's our QQ. Now we'll go into the Excel spreadsheet, and we have the old data in here. We'll simply select the refresh button. And as you can see, the data is propagated through to the destination SQL Server 2014, which the Excel add-in is now connecting to, and you can bring in your data. The nice thing about the Excel add-in is that, as Paul said, it is a read-only tool. So you have no danger of writing back or overwriting or deleting or removing or doing anything damaging to your source data. You can also incorporate within this, because of the CONNX Data Dictionary, and a lot of our existing customers who are on this have probably incorporated our CONNX Integrated Security, whereas you can take user-level security and break that down to who can see tables, who can see specific columns. So you can also, in conjunction with the read-only capabilities of Excel, tie into the CONNX Integrated Security to pare down who is going to see what data. The nice thing about this as well is within the CONNX, the connections that you create on here, you can deploy those to other systems. So you can create the queries that you want to deploy in your environment once, and then actually deploy those out to your end users so that they don't have to create their own queries on their own systems. From here, we're going to go into our KPiSync tool, which is, let's go and minimize some of this other stuff here. And what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and bring our data dictionary, close that, and we'll bring our KPiSync up. Now, our KPiSync tool, again, this was brought out within CONNX 12 when it was released. CONNX SP2 or CONNX 12 SP2 has added some additional functionality which really enhances the product. We have the ability to create user accounts. And what we've specifically added within SP2 is the ability to subscribe specific users to specific KPIs. So we're going to use the test user account today when I bring up my emulator. So we're going to pull up the subscribe, and that shows you what has been actually set up for this user to actually see within the KPIs. So as you see over here, we have a plethora of different KPIs that are available, but this user is only going to see these 3 KPIs. And please do note, one of these Northwest Sales is an individual KPI, as well as it's also incorporated into the group sales by region. In doing so, you can have multiple set up for a specific user, but that user will only see the KPI once. Now, once we get into this, you can set up your users. That's great. The real meat and potatoes of this is actually getting into the actual KPIs that you want to deploy within your environment. And in doing so, we'll go into international sales here. And it enables you to really design what you want to push out to your end users. The query you're going to want to use is going to need to be a query that's going to bring a single point of data back, so that we can then set up our conditional formatting so that you can have your green, yellow, and red traffic lights or lights for the image that you've designed as the tile. And so with this, we're going to see that's going to be a yellow because it's between 5,000 and 10,000. If it goes below 5,000, it'll change to red. If it's over 10,000, it'll be green. So that really enables you to really fine-tune what you want to deploy out to your end users. And again, within this as well, you can look at the individual KPIs and see who's been subscribed via a group and who's been subscribed as a individual KPI. And as you can see, my test user here has been, this KPI has been deployed to it via the group called Sales by Region. Within our group tab over here, this is somewhat self-explanatory. We're going to go into Sales by Region and we'll look at the properties. And what that simply is just a group of KPIs that you're going to push out, and you can then subscribe a group of KPIs to an individual user instead of going individual KPIs to that user. We have the ability to schedule these. I've set these up, and we're going to go ahead and just take a look at our sales by region. For those of you who use our DataSync tool, this is going to look very familiar. This is really the same functionality we have for our DataSync scheduler. I set this up to run every minute, so it's going to update often. And once you do that, what happens is that this KPI will run. It'll move the data up into the cloud and then push it down to the end users on the mobile devices. If there is data that has not changed, that will not be pushed down to the end users. It will only push down changes that are actually brought through the system. So now we got you the GUI interface and setting this up and how this looks. Let's take a look at how this looks actually on a mobile device. And I have my mobile emulator up here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to select our KPiSync mobile application. And we're going to go ahead and log in as that test user that I was just talking about, if I can type properly. And then we'll go ahead and sign in. And then once we do, you'll see we have 4 KPIs. We have the random KPI, which was individually subscribed to this user. We have all of the sales that were within the group subscribed to it. And there was also the Northwest that was individually subscribed as well. And as you can see, you still, even though it's been subscribed twice, you're only going to see it once. The random KPI is nice because that will automatically, just every minute, it's going to create a random value, so that will update. But what we're going to do is we're going to go over here, we're going to change some data in each of these sales areas for the Northwest, the Southwest, and the International. And then we'll run these queries. And the last one here. And we'll give this one. Okay, there's that. Boom. And then we'll go back into our KPIs. And we've already seen some changes here. The random KPI has already changed. And then what we'll do is we'll simply go and we'll push or refresh this. And we should hopefully see some changes. These may have come through while I was updating data. It looks like they may have. And that's really the practical demonstration in a nutshell. As you can see, we have data that you can push down to your end users via mobile devices. You can set up who you want to see, when you want them to see it, and the conditional formatting for each of the KPIs that you've set up, be it the green light, the yellow light, or the red light.